we're muted. What's up, guys? This is the
Am I
poker.
muted?
You are unmuted.
Yes.
It's the
You guys can hear me.
PokerCraft podcast on Live with the Bike with my buddy. They don't even.
They don't believe
They
you,
don't believe
Wayne.
you. I
What's
know.
up with that?
I
Okay,
could.
guys,
I run the
don't
sickest
worry.
bluffs.
I get it. I get it. We watched you on that Discovery Channel show. We know that you have a good poker face, but I'm here to clear things up.
Yeah.
I do know Wayne from way back. We went to UC San Diego together, not SDSU for whoever tweeted
Or
that.
whatever. He's just
Um,
a hater. Whatever.
we went to UC San Diego together. I met Wade my first year of college. I don't know if you want to tell them what year you were
I
on,
was in like year 9 or something.
but I was in my first year. And I started playing poker with Wayne and a group of friends that we mutually had in common. Like, I think, did I meet you through Lee maybe? I
Sure,
can't
Lee
remember.
won. Brian
Yeah.
Chang was in the mix.
Like we just had a couple of mutual
Yeah.
friends, and then those are the people I play poker with. So for the record, Wayne has been telling the truth. So it's okay, Wayne. I would
I
brag
know.
about knowing me too. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
No,
I
you're
get why
not.
people think you're making
No,
it
you're
up.
not. No, it's not even that. It's just like, like one time I was on the show and or playing, and Mark Newhouse called, and I was like, oh, Mark Newhouse calling. Like as a matter of factually, I didn't even know he was like big time or whatever. He's like, oh, your name dropping. Phil Ivy's calling me. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, guys, Wayne's been known to drop names as much as Phil Hellmuth, so it's okay, guys. Just gotta give him a break. I'm just kidding. All right, let's stop trolling you now.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, you're known for your super touching, speeches. So don't make me cry, or don't get me to cry on, Live with the Bike. When it's in my home, I'll be embarrassed forever. So, what's the Maria Ho story, and how'd you get into poker? I know there's like so many documentaries on you, so.
Well, I mean, you know part of the story of how I got into poker. I mean,
But the audience.
yes. So, but I'm saying maybe you could help me fill in the
Mm.
blanks if I have anything that I leave out. So basically, I was in college. I had played card games, for fun growing up. I played bridge with my grandfather. I obviously played some less strategic type card games as well, just for fun. But then in college is when I discovered Texas Hold'em. And it's funny because my dad actually had been playing Texas Hold'em for a long time, but I never really made the connection like, oh, this is what my dad plays when he goes to the casino. So when I first heard of it, it was totally new to me and it had no connection with what my dad was playing. And I think I'm naturally very competitive. I'm sure like you would say that when you first met me. The very first time I like walked into this home game at the dorms in UC San Diego or wherever we played, it was like I just enjoyed the fact that I got to compete, and it wasn't so much about like, do I know this game? No. Do I understand it? No. Am I good at it? No. But it was more just like, oh, someone's gonna win. This is fun. So that's definitely kind of how I got my start, was just playing in college. But then obviously, we started going to some of the casinos around the San Diego
I don't know what
area.
you're talking about. We do homework every
Right.
night in bed by 10:30 p.m. Go to church every Sunday morning.
Right.
Sean Snyder, Steve Sung, and Judy spreading
They
all
would
these
all,
weird
right,
rumors.
yeah.
Like, it's so
They
crazy.
would all tell you guys differently, but
Robert,
this is the
Renee,
real
she's
story.
good. Like, yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, we started venturing out and playing at the casinos, and there were so many different places we could play, and considering it was open 24 hours, we would go after class and play, and so it just like opened up this whole world where it was literally, I know for myself personally, it was something I was doing with like a lot of my spare time, and I would always have someone to go with. So
Maria, it's time to go home. No, one more of it. One more of it. I swear.
just playing Limit
Joking.
Hold'em, the good old days. That's what
Joking.
we played. But yeah.
And then you were like, I don't even know. Like, I know 2007 was your breakout year, and then, then I didn't even see you for like, I don't even know how. I'm just like, oh, she's on TV. She's on TV. And then you were on Amazing Race too.
So 2007 was the World Series of Poker main event deep run that I had, where I finished 38th, and then I
Samba.
was
Anyway.
yeah, for all of you Mandarin speakers, you guys know. So then in 2009 was when I went on the Amazing Race, which was just some opportunity that kind of like fell into my lap, and it wasn't something that I had grown up thinking, oh, I would love to be on the Amazing Race one day. But it's definitely, to this day, it ranks as my top most exciting, interesting, coolest experience of my entire life. So
second to meeting me.
Yeah,
Would you be
so
richer if you had your poker winnings, or how many times you've seen me get rejected at the club? And get a penny for every time. Penny? No?
well, a penny that would be, I mean, obviously, clearly we'd have to up that for like ten
Oh, ten
dollars every
dollars and
time. Then
then
maybe
richer.
it's
Okay,
close,
all
but
right. So, yeah, what have you been doing? I see you on the tournament circuits, and you mentioned to me you want to get back into cash games.
yeah, so obviously, like I've traveled the tournament circuit now for, you know, 10 plus years, which is a big reason why you didn't see me around anymore. It was I was hardly in the LA area. Obviously, people know that, I grew up here, my family's here. So I just haven't really been able to be in one place long enough to really put down any roots. And obviously, when you get older, you start thinking about these things and you just kind of realize that the cash game lifestyle provides more stability in a lot of ways. I do feel like I'm getting to the point where I feel like my desire to travel so much for tournaments is a lot less than it used to be. So I'm trying to find ways to play poker when I want and as often as I want without necessarily having to do the grueling grind of the circuit. So that's why you've been seeing a lot more of me, not only just in LA, but on Live at the Bike, obviously.
I see your dad chilling around. He's definitely not playing cards, but he's always asking about you. And like one time, he was just like, uh, "Drive Maria home after the show." I'm like, "What? I haven't driven her in like
I know.
probably
Like,
15
Dad, I
years,
drove
maybe
myself
10 or
here.
15.
I'm
I don't
gonna be
even
able
know."
to drive myself back.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, I don't want all you guy fans to like kick my ass. It's just like,
Yeah, it's pretty funny though. It's nice. I feel like my dad like this is his way of kind of checking up on me without
yeah.
checking up on me, which is cute because, after being a certain age, you kind of feel like, oh, maybe my parents are gonna respect me as an adult. But, in Chinese culture, everybody should know that like you're always a little kid to your parents.
So
So,
of course, like we both had this trouble of, being in poker slash gaming with Asian culture.
hmm
Do you have any words for other people who have these
for
family
sure.
problems?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I've had so many people come up to me actually and share their story. This really sweet Indian girl actually at the bike came up to me and kind of told me her story about how tough it was for her to get into the game. And then I've, obviously, um, being Asian, there's a little bit of a degen gambler gene in our blood a little bit. So like, you do see quite a bit of Asians sometimes, playing poker. And I've had a lot of the younger generation come and talk to me and tell me about kind of the struggles of having acceptance from their family. And, I know you and I have talked about this too. Um, I think that my advice is like you have to be very persistent. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. If you really have a passion for it and you love it and you feel driven by it in whatever way that moves you, then you have to like really hold your ground because you have to realize that at the end of the day, your parents want the best for you and there's a part of you that's always going to want to make them proud, but you cannot live your life under their thumb and you can't live your life for their constant approval, because you're never really going to get that fully anyways.
Yeah,
So you just have to do what makes you happy, but just make sure that you're including your parents in the process. I think like
sure.
as Asians, we don't communicate that much with our family sometimes about kind of our fears and our feelings. And I think if we just told our parents like, I know you guys don't understand what I do for a living, but I want you to know that I love it. I'm taking it seriously. I'm being responsible. And I think that if you guys knew, my day to day, you guys would actually be really proud of the career that I've made
How
for
many guys
myself.
you've bluffed out?
I mean, you just can't, you just have to explain to your parents that this is a job like any other. And as long as you're taking it seriously and you're treating it with the discipline, and the right mindset that it deserves, then I think that, slowly but surely, especially if you don't go to your parents and ask them for money, I think they'll be like, oh, maybe they are able to take care of themselves and maybe they are able to support themselves with this job. So,
So when like you had, I think the Poker Go biography or videography or something where
mhm.
they like you had did the last one stand, you did well, and then your parents were like, okay, you could,
Yeah, exactly.
go back to doing your normal thing. What like me, you, Kitty, and a bunch of other Asians is we
hmm
forced ourselves to finish school so we wouldn't embarrass them.
Yes.
But like they viewed it as like, oh, they're finally getting on the
Right,
right
like,
track.
right, exactly. Um, yeah, so that's something that I think is interesting because I am really grateful that because of all the pressure, our parents put on us that I did finish college
Yeah,
because a lot of poker players actually have the story where they did drop out of school and I hate it to be so cliche, but like there really is nothing bad about having a backup plan or
yeah.
something to fall back on. So I am super grateful at the end of the day that like I can say, yes, I went to school, I got my degree, and luckily I haven't, in a way, luckily, I haven't had to use it yet, because poker has,
Because you're crushing it.
fortunately, it has gone, pretty well for me. I'm not going to
Yeah,
lie, I'm very lucky. But it's actually been the safety net that I need. For some people it's like a big bankroll is their safety net.
yeah.
My safety net is knowing that if poker doesn't work out, I can be good at something else and I also, spent the time investing in another thing that I think I'm good at and that I really studied for as well. So that's kind of like my safety net. So it's allowed me to maybe make some decisions maybe with my bankroll or, with choosing to take this leap of faith to play poker that I think some people wouldn't if they didn't have that. So
Like in the
I feel
micro
lucky.
destiny. Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, I feel lucky. Like, I think our parents have really it's hard to accept kind of some of the other side of things that may have happened, with such a strict upbringing. But in a lot of ways, I am really grateful for my parents and
Me
the
too.
how hard they are on me because I actually think that that's helped me become a good poker player as well because you have to be really resilient and in poker, that's a huge
It's true.
strength. So,
Yeah, definitely the attitudes that we were raised with
yeah,
help when
for
the times
sure.
is bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just like I tell people on broadcast, I'm like, you actually get the degree for your future in-laws, so their family don't think you're retarded.
That's funny. Yeah, but kind of true.
So, you have any good poker jokes? It's
Uh,
like people don't know she's okay. Maybe you guys do know because you follow her, but she's like super hilarious and just like I'll be drinking and then she tells a joke and I'm literally just gonna spit out on the person in front of me.
I mean, I feel like, okay, so I do feel like there is a side of me that I think like only my friends know, and that definitely includes like I'm really sarcastic, I joke around a lot. I feel like sometimes I don't do that as much in my professional life, but I don't have like a great poker joke. Like I have all the poker jokes that like everybody's heard a million times, and I just don't think it would be the best display of how hilarious I actually am if I
That
told
is
a poker
true.
joke right now. So,
There's a quote you did during college that I still remember. If I
are you okay? Well, I
It's
feel like,
yours.
are you sure? Okay,
Oh,
what's the
I'm
quote?
gonna butcher this. If I
I mean, okay, if you're gonna butcher it, then
yeah, if I can't bring down heaven, I'm gonna raise hell.
when did I say that?
Okay,
And is that
whatever.
my quote, or is that like,
I
did
don't
I
know.
take it from
Maybe
somebody?
you like ripped it off like some rapper. I don't even know.
Well, you know what? If you guys haven't heard that quote before, then it's my quote,
Yeah.
okay?
And rest in peace, DJ Karaoke. Oh my gosh,
Oh
it's not
my
there
gosh,
anymore.
it was such a great
For those
place.
of you guys from the San Diego, La Jolla
Yeah,
Convoy area, that was
you guys
like,
would know.
whew, that was our
It's a fun spot
place that we responsibly were sober.
after we finished our homework.
Yeah, of course. You're gonna have a Oscar-winning role, a Grammy, and win the World Series. In what order are those gonna happen? Why are you laughing? I'm
I don't know.
serious.
I know. That's a good question.
You should prop bet this
I sh
because
maybe I should prop bet it. I could see myself like through the path of maybe helping somebody like write a song, win a Grammy. I think my days of like singing, obviously I know we went to karaoke a lot, but
I don't know what
I
you're
think
talking
my
about.
days of singing professionally are probably behind me.
You saw J Lo, right,
But
and Shakira. They're just
yeah, but they were also like
hips don't lie.
there when they were in their 20s too, and
Whatever,
I
dude.
spent my 20s playing poker. So,
I don't know what you're
um,
doing your homework.
but the World Series of Poker bracelet is kind of elusive, so I still have that to look forward to, hopefully. But
But you
it's
won
been tough. It's
WPT.
been
I
tough.
saw that. I saw you in the news. I'm like, little kid in the corner screaming, "That's my car."
That was but it was like not, it was a WPT Deep Stacks, which is like slightly different from a WPT main. So like, guys, that
Wow.
major title is still eluding me, but I feel good about it. I feel like I'm getting better every year, and
Did you,
You know,
You crushed one in
tournaments are
commerce too. I
hard.
saw your picture. It was
Oh yeah,
like
I won like a 20. Yeah, I won 25. I'm winning like I mean, I can win tournaments. It's just
just another
majors.
one and another one.
No, but majors are super difficult. So,
English, I think, only at the table. Like some of us just like graph straight down, So, but you don't have faith in me. I'll get you like an Oscar role or at least
no, I
a
mean,
Grammy role.
I'm not saying that
Producer.
I wouldn't accept any of my friends, giving me a potential Oscar worthy winning role. I'm just saying
Sure.
that I never really thought about acting either. So, those things are going to be tough.
I mean, for me, it's always like people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," and then they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and then it just like happens. I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, too real the other way."
I wouldn't rule any of those things out just because I do feel like I have the kind of personality that I'll try anything. So if somebody showed up and said, "Hey, you want to act in this?" I'd be like, "Yeah, let's just see how it goes." So
All right,
I
next
don't
year.
sh I don't shy away from challenges and
Oh yeah,
from things that I think I could push myself
oh yeah.
with. So,
And we always talks about the toxicity in, I don't know. I wouldn't even just throw poker under the bus, like male-dominated industries.
hmm
I know you have to deal with a lot. I know you're a big evangelist of defending women at the table and everything. So, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, for one, I feel like you have to have really thick skin, period, to be in this industry because it is very cutthroat and it does always feel very contentious in the sense of it's like you against someone else and someone has to win, someone has to lose, all of those things that people talk about, zero sum, whatever. So I feel like that already in and of itself makes it a hard environment to be around. But obviously, you add the other layer of being a female, and I started playing when there was significantly less females in the game. So I can't even imagine. Like shout out to like the Linda Johnsons and the Jan Fishers and the Barbara Enrights because I
She plays here, Barbara.
yeah, I know. I've seen her, and like those are the real
She's funny too.
pioneers. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she is. But that's what I'm saying is like those are the type of women that made it because when you look at their personalities and you interact with them, like they're very strong-willed, strong-minded, very vocal women. And so I feel like when I first started, there were a few times when I did feel a little bit marginalized or, treated differently because I was a woman, but I never really let that deter me. And for me, it was more just about I would let my game speak for itself, whether or not people thought I should be playing poker, whether or not people thought I belonged there. It was the most important thing for me to just sit down, play my best game, go home with their money, and then and then I don't have to sit there and say, I don't have to prove that I belong or that this game is just as much a female's game as a man's game because I was able to do that by being able to come back in and day out and make a living at it. So.
What's your biggest? What's your coolest like trash talk line?
I don't really have like a go-to trash talk line because actually I'm a nice person and you have to really rub me the wrong way to get me riled up and when I do like you don't want that Maria but like I
She
would
said it, not me.
I would just say that I definitely remember an incident where I really felt like I had to defend myself, so I did, and it was, in the lovely streets of the LA poker rooms because, we don't need to start naming places, but some poker rooms in LA like have histories of having kind of abusive behavior towards other players or dealers or whatnot. And so certainly for me, I had to stand up for myself when some guy just made a really, really rude remark about like honestly it was as disgusting as like it's like raping my family and things like that, after I bluffed him out of a pot or something, which was
Wow.
like really crazy. So I feel like during that time, my go-to line was go fuck yourself. It was, I didn't need to come up with something really clever to say because, I feel like that line just really says it all.
In the great words of Tupac Shakur, first off, I'm just kidding. Anyway, wow, you have like unlimited accolades and awards. I'm just like, and you were on American Idol season 3, the Hollywood one. Hollywood.
Um, yes, I very brief stint on that. Didn't make it very far. Didn't make it to like the semis or anything. But
It
yeah,
wouldn't get far. I'm just like,
that was my short little foray into singing, I guess.
it ain't over. It still ain't over.
We'll
No.
see.
Okay. Deal or no deal? How was that? I don't know. I'm just reading off your wiki. How was Deal or No Deal?
That was fun. I wasn't on as a contestant. I was on as a special guest to surprise a contestant who was a
Oh,
big fan of poker and a big fan of
of you.
mine.
Okay.
So, but
Shout out to Tom Cruise.
that was actually just so fun. Like it was so fun to be a part of somebody else's journey, and they ended up winning $100,000, which is actually quite a bit of money on that show, and obviously in general. And it was just really cool to be able to, feel like you had a little piece of being a part of that person's journey. Because for them, that 100,000 was obviously life changing. So that was cool.
So we're gonna go over all your poker achievements, and you won like some commentator thing. Like
Some,
I'm so jealous.
some
No, best commentator of like the
Global
universe.
Poker Awards,
Global Poker Awards.
Broadcaster of the Year.
Best commentator in the universe of all time poker and everything else. Yeah.
I honestly, that was a very, I felt very grateful and humbled by that recognition. And, I would say that alongside being inducted in the Women in Poker Hall of
Oh, that's
Fame
right.
is for sure like my
Oops.
biggest. No, I just wanted to point that out as like that has kind of been something that I felt like is probably one of my biggest poker milestones is because my parents actually came to the ceremony, and that was really important because my parents don't really come out to support a lot of my poker related stuff. So that was really special for me. Yeah.
Told you not to make me cry. um. Ooh. Yeah. You have one World Poker Tour title, three final tables. I have zero. Money finishes 12. Bracelet, none. Oh, yeah.
Bracelet, none. What else did it say? Four final tables at the World Series, 53
Three
in the
money
money
finishes.
finishes.
And highest main event finish, 38th.
Yeah. I mean,
Chasing peak.
there's still a lot, yeah, there's still a lot to be done for sure. But as I was saying, I probably won't be playing tournaments as much as I used to. So who knows if um, my lack of volume is gonna really help me get there. But,
Sure.
we'll
As
see.
Phil Hellmuth says, it's like, the high rollers, it's not always their money, or people can just like spam tournaments and just get, you know. And when I look at your Instagram, you're loving life and with the
I definitely feel like that's actually just something really important to me is just to have balance. I feel like I take my job seriously. I love poker. Um, I do have all these other aspirations in poker still, but I also think it's really important if we have a job where we have the luxury of kind of picking and choosing when we want to work, then why would we always prioritize work over everything else? So, I mean, I know poker players that have literally missed out on their friends' weddings for a poker tournament,
that's
which is pretty insane. Like, I don't want to
normal.
name names.
That's normal. I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
mean, but, because there was a tournament with a huge guarantee, and it's like, oh, okay, that or a wedding, which one? I don't know.
They're
Um,
like, they're gonna get divorced anyway. It's cool. I'll be in the next wedding.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not trying to impart like my way of life on everyone else. I'm just saying that for me, what works best is to have that balance of where I do travel just for fun and not just for poker, where I say, okay, if I wake up and I don't feel like playing this tournament, I'm not going to force myself to play just because it's really great value
That's a really balanced strategy.
is important. But that's probably why on my Instagram, you'll see that like I know how to enjoy life.
Yeah, I know. I knew back then. I still don't
Yeah.
know. So your pictures, I'm like here at the bike like every day, and just like.
I'm a woman of leisure.
So Friday high stakes games. How do you like that, and how tough is the competition
Yeah.
evolved?
So again, because my family's here and I love the idea of getting to like come here and play for 8 or 9 hours and then going home and seeing my parents or, having dinner with my friends or whatever. All of those things are so nice and it helps with that balance. So I've really enjoyed being able to come here, play on Live at the Bike. Obviously the player pool, like I just have to get used to. It's not a good or bad thing. It's more just that a lot of them have a lot more experience playing against each other than
Oh
I
yeah,
do. You can tell like the dynamic and the layers of how deep it goes
Garrett and
is
Andy.
right, exactly. Is like so beyond, me. But I really enjoyed playing with them. A lot of them are like they're all just really nice people, and it has kind of forced me to maybe think about my game a little bit differently because you always have to be tailoring a little bit and making adjustments based on your opponent. So now that I'm playing against these people on more of a regular basis, I'm definitely, looking into studying up.
Okay, let's do some of your hands on the LATV. So this was your first appearance.
Oh, Sean McCormick! What
Wow. We
up,
got Quiet
Sean?
Riot.
Dude, there's Joel.
Come on, bring the
Come
noise.
on, feel the noise.
Girls rock.
Oh yeah, this was like just a fun game that we played.
There's
What I
Cyrus.
guess it
Yeah.
was 5-10
You were like
then.
Yeah.
If I raised to 30. Okay. Is that guy's name really Tony Montana?
I don't know. I know. Where's Diamond Dave at? Oh, there's Bruno. Shout out to Bruno.
So, do you just want me to do you want me
Yeah,
to
just
show you why I was
if you
broadcaster of
remember
the year?
that. Yeah.
So
Oh, shout out to Poker Central. Back when there was peace on
yes,
Earth.
Poker Central. Shout out to Poker Central. I love Poker Central. And we did do a stint where Poker Central and Live at the Bike joined forces. So now I remember this game very, very vividly. Okay, so it looks like I opened with Ace Queen and then got a call from Eddie and then Diamond Dave with Kings, 3 bets. You know, I don't think I knew anything about Diamond Dave's game, so I feel like this should be a pretty easy fold for me. Why
Still
would
gotta
I?
take your time.
Yeah. Why would I call a 3 bet out of position when my range should be pretty strong opening from under the gun against 3 bet? Yeah, all right.
It's professional. You think I was gonna throw you under the bus? I am.
I was like, what? Do I just like rip it here for like 300 big blinds? Was I just so
You have him
over
covered.
it?
She's in for 5K, and look at you're like, always talking with the table.
I mean, generally speaking, I always have really good experiences with people at the table. There's only that rare one-off occasion where I don't get along with someone. So I'm usually really talkative, especially in a cash game, much more than in a tournament setting. I'm pretty
Sure.
quiet in tournaments. But
So you know anybody here?
no, I remember I didn't know anybody except Sean McCormick.
Got it.
And Sean like drove in from Vegas to play this game. So
Wow. He's like, Breeze here. Gotta play. Bum hunter.
how many hands are we showing from
Just
this?
relax.
was like,
Just this one.
Is
just
this my biggest?
No,
is this
I
my,
have to embarrass
the only
you.
clip you have of me?
No, this is your debut. So
Oh, okay.
I had to embarrass you with this
So
one.
this is an embarrassing one?
Yeah, I had to humiliate.
Did I 3 bet or did I just call?
You 3 bet.
Okay, I
You
was like,
3-bet.
because that would be embarrassing if
No.
I just called. Okay.
I mean, to balance your range occasionally.
Occasionally, but I feel like I don't really need to be balanced when I probably haven't
Never gonna
played.
play with these
right,
guys.
haven't ever played with them and won't play with them again.
I just want you to watch this. Not even someone because, you get bluffed out, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I want you to hate Bruno for the rest of your life.
Okay, so this, I feel like a check there makes sense. I could have done a small little defensive type C bet. It still does. I still do have a bit of a range advantage, I think, against Bruno, but I don't mind checking the flop. Okay, now the turn. I checked again, which I also think is fine. The problem is that both Bruno and I block the Broadway Jack 10, but I
Of
guess
course,
I
it's
just
a normal fold. I just want you to hate
I know,
Bruno
I was going to say
forever.
also it was the king of diamonds, and Bruno not only blocks Jack 10,
Choking.
but he also has a diamond in his hand. So, I mean, what's a girl to do with 2 black jacks
I just
there?
hate Bruno. I just want you to, like, stab him, And this is one of the $1 million cash games where you did decently well. Decently well. Shout out to Johnson, John Cohen, Andy Garrett, Bill Klein. There's
I forget that guy's name to my right. He doesn't play here
Byron.
that often.
It's Byron.
Okay.
Byron. Then there's Daniel.
Oh, this hand.
You know what this is.
I do.
You know what
this
it
is
is.
an insane hand.
So Bill Klein raised up early position, Jack 9 off.
Yeah, I think this was ace queen suited is a hand that I could go either way with. I could either flat or 3 bet. I just chose to flat it. Andy, shocker, he loves
Handsome
to
man.
3 bet. He does love the
What?
3 bet. So Jack 10 suited. I think it's a okay hand to squeeze with. I think he could have gone either way with it as well. Sometimes I think you can call that type of hand from the small blind. Of course, Bill doesn't have anything, so he folds. This all makes sense so far as played, considering I flatted. I'm not going to fold to his squeeze with a hand like ace queen suited. Andy made it a fairly large size though, to go. But again, as I said, as deep as we are, as deep as we're playing, I'm not going to fold ace queen suited against a three bet when I'm also in position post as well. So, I mean, and little did I know at this point I had Andy absolutely dominated. Like,
No, it's actually it was kind of
but
an interesting
it
hand.
is. So 9, 5 deuce, two clubs. We both obviously flop the flush draw. Mine is the best one. But this is kind of a situation where we're so deep again that I don't really have a lot of reason, I think, to play this spot particularly aggressively. Like I just have so much back to Andy's continue here that what do I want to just raise and get it in for 68K each with the nut flush draw? Sure, I probably have a ton of equity. Regardless, if Andy has the top of his value range, I have, I'm hoping that I have, my ace as an out and the flush draw as an out. So I do have decent equity. But again, if I just call, I also keep a lot of his bluffs in that he squeezed with pre that I have dominated. So, his worst ace X's or, as I said, these
King
type
queen.
of suited, right, like these type of suited hands that sometimes Andy elects three bet with.
A red king.
Yeah, that's like a little bit of an awkward card for sure. I think when Andy bets here, I believe that what the factors that led into my call was I felt like we both had enough behind where if I realize my equity here, I can still stack him. Good implieds. I think I have some showdown value with ace high against um, a lot of his squeezes.
He gets a donkey like Andy.
But also, I also understand that this turn card is the type of card that Andy's going to barrel again at. So
Sure.
this doesn't necessarily improve his hand, in my opinion. It's just a good card for him to fire the second barrel. So I just decided to call here. As I said, in the back of my mind, I always did feel like I had some type of showdown value with ace high, with this a really good ace high at this point. But I also had the nut flush draw. And also, you have the option of Andy potentially shutting down on the river, which would make a lot of your decisions much easier as well. So, all of those reasons,
Shout out to position in poker.
all of those reasons kind of ran through my mind. And I'm not going to lie, like Andy and people like Garrett, they know their reputation precedes them a little bit, right? Like I would give a lot more credit to a double barrel, to a squeeze, and then a double barrel from certain other players. But if you have a image that you do three bet at a higher frequency, then you're not going to necessarily just going to get, you're not going to just get me off of the nut flush draw in this exact spot. So, I mean,
Okay. Now that was an interesting river.
yeah. So obviously Andy, like here, he just totally whiffed. He whiffed his gut shot straight draw that he picked up on the turn along with his flush draw. And he asked me how much I have back, and I have like just under, like a little under pot back. And it's a really shitty river, obviously. But I also have to think about what are the type of hands that Andy would potentially triple barrel with. I mean, aces, yes, that makes sense, but hands that he's going to three bet and then triple with, right? So like, would he do that with queens or jacks? Like, no. So, I mean, he's really representing, if he decided to bet here, he's only representing the top of the range. I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to like hero him with ace high if he decided to put me to the test, but I'm saying I think there's a thought process and an argument to be made that Andy doesn't necessarily have what he's trying to represent either. But, fortunately for me, Andy decided to give up, and I felt like I had, as I had said, I did feel like I have enough showdown value where I don't think I need to be bluffing this spot necessarily. Because again, like now I know a little bit differently that Andy, when you see the way he plays his deuces and
It's
things
a
like
wild
that,
animal.
you kind of know that like maybe Andy could show up with threes or fours or sixes here where I
Right.
think I'm like
Oh, you were
showing up.
like, wait, what do you have?
I know.
And he's really frustrated because the thing
Yeah.
is, because he has jack ten of clubs, the
He-
only reasonable club combination he
Ex-
could beat,
yes.
or made pairs or
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was frustrating for him. He just had the wrong,
yeah.
but he had the wrong hand to bluff with, I think. So,
Right.
but
Just scoop those chips.
super nice to win that pot on the river at Showdown with Ace High, obviously.
Taiwanese on Taiwanese crime.
But yeah, that was a crazy hand.
It's crazy, just crazy. Just crazy. Same group. I heard you won a little bit in this game.
But yeah, I mean, oh yes, this tens hand
So
against Garrett and Daniel, I guess. Where's Daniel been? He was a nice, friendly person to play with.
yeah, we're in contact. It's just like there's so many things going on here. But he's interested in coming back.
So it looks like,
You rejected him. He had to go home with his tail between his legs. Okay, I don't want to start any crap.
yeah, yeah.
JK, guys.
So Garrett just called this 3-bet pre, like he just flatted from the blinds, right? So
Yeah.
I had opened Daniel 3-bet, and Garrett calls, and it's pretty nice to flop a set and then when it gets checked around, because I'm obviously expecting Daniel to continue there at a pretty high frequency. I actually thought that I would probably be check raising the flop a lot against his c-bets. But because he checked back, it's really nice to see a brick on the turn, because if a heart comes, then obviously I'm not going to feel very good about my hand up against 2 players. But this was nice that they both had, the second nut flush draw and the nut flush draw, because I got a little value on the turn. I was kind of surprised that Garrett didn't decide to do something crazy, because this is like the exact type of spot when Garrett has like the nut flush blocker that he might be like,
He's
I could do
outplay
this.
him this hand right now.
But he decides to call. So I'm just really hoping to fade the river at this point, because it's pretty easy to put them on, the type of hand that they have. So luckily, that good old deuce of diamonds. But again, I'm not going to get value now from anybody, but I also know
You
that
faded
there was
a
yeah,
lot of
I also
cards.
know that there was a ton of bad cards for me. They all had straight draws with their flush draws. So,
How is this 7 hearts not just like come one time? One time.
but again, where were you at, Garrett? I was really expecting you to maybe get in there and do something. So, yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I just
I
had
don't
to
even
put.
think he thought about it. Why didn't you even think about it,
Think he-
Garrett?
I don't know. Is that insulting? I mean,
I don't know,
I
maybe.
don't know. It's like you're incapable of, just blasting.
Not
out.
having only value there, yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. But anyway, I have to show like loyalty,
To
like if
who?
to you. So like if a girl comes up to me and it's like, "Do you see my man?" I'm like, "Don't worry, girl. He was with me." With you, I'll tell you where his ass really was.
I appreciate that.
Right.
I can appreciate like girl code and bro code for sure, but I also feel like sometimes across gender lines we need to have each other's back a little bit more.
Give an example. No, I don't know. Anyway, all right, that's it for you guys. She's got a birthday party to
I
go
do.
to, so
But this was fun. I'm glad that I
I had to
finally.
beg you to come on. Beg.
No, I mean, I'm a little busy, but
know.
I'm happy to make the time, so I'm sure I'll be back again soon.
So there's one predominant question in the chat.
Which is what?
Are you